Muse, it is I, your writer. The one that you tap on the shoulder every now and then and say, hey, I have an idea. Why don't you try this? And I listen, and I write. And together, we create art. I want to have a little conversation with you, Muse, one that I have with you in the name of transparency, I suppose, as it were. And this conversation was brought about by a revelation that I had. I guess it was a revelation. Or maybe more so, it was an understanding. And this understanding came about because of this new editor that I'm working with. Now, as every writer that imaginable, I would assume, we start doing this. We take this walk along this crazy path towards authorship. And at some point in our career, we think, hey, I got it going on. I know what I'm doing. I'm an author, and I can write a sentence. And you do, and you continue on under that assumption. And then you start working with someone that proves you wrong. And I don't necessarily mean wrong, as in wrong or right. I guess maybe I should say shows you better. And that's what happened with me. Now, I've never been one to claim that I know that my mechanics, my grammar and my mechanics are perfect. They're not. They never have been, and they probably never will be. What I claim to be is a good storyteller. That's what I do. I am a teller of stories. And over the past 20 years, I've developed a very specific voice in which to tell those stories. And any editor that has worked with me will verify that I do have a unique voice. That's not a pat on the back. That's just telling you, that is just telling you what I have been told by editors that I have worked with and readers that have read my books. However, what has come about of late is that I have finally had my eyes open to just how difficult the English language really is. And during this process, of which my new editor and I were working with Dead Twin Sister, a lot of these issues that I have were brought to light. And so I thought at one point, well, okay, I need to learn more. I need to learn more about the English language, which is a good thing. And I think that every writer at some point should be listening to what their editor is saying, right? And eventually go, oh my gosh, I have got so much to learn. I better start now. Which is kind of humbling. It's not kind of humbling, it's very humbling, because we think that we, as writers, we think that we know exactly what we're talking about, or writing about, as it were. And when that time comes where our eyes are opened, the humbling does begin. And so, as I'm working through the edits on Dead Twin Sister, I realize that I do have a lot to learn with the English language. And it's never been the mechanics of the language has never been my strong suit. And I'm okay with that. That's why I pay an editor. And I know, I cannot even begin to tell you how many writers that I know, how many really good and very successful writers I know that live and die by their editors. And when you find a good editor that you can work with, it's gold. And I think what I appreciate so much about this new editor is that she is not just working towards making this book and my work as good as it can. She's working to educate me. And I am pretty good about setting my ego aside and saying, hey, yeah, teach me these things. I want to learn. I'm not paying you to pat me on the back. And I think that that is one of the biggest mistakes that young or new writers make. They find an editor and they pay an editor. And they stick with that editor because that editor makes them feel good about their work. That editor pats them on the back and says, oh, I like this story. Oh, I love the way you wrote this sentence. Oh, this is great. Sometimes that may not be the best tact the editor can take. It may not be what the author needs. I'm not going to pay somebody to pat me on the back. I'm going to pay somebody to help improve my work. And the deal is when I pay you, my editor, to help improve my work, the next time I send you work, the next time I pay you for another job, hopefully you won't have to work as hard because all of the things that you've taught me in the previous job stuck. And hopefully the editor will come back and say, hey, I see you're actually listening to me. That's the relationship. That is the give and take of editor-author. The give and take is not the author handing over their manuscript to the editor and ponying up their shekels and having the editor go, oh, you are so brilliant. I love the way you write. I love your story. This is perfect. Because if that's the case, why are you paying that editor? If it's perfect. And so I think it's crucial for every new or young writer to understand that to sign the contract with your muse and agree to walk down this path is an agreement to always be looking for ways to improve and to set your ego aside, lock it up in this nice little glass showcase jar where you can look at it every once in a while and say, hey, that's my ego. I've got it under control. And while it's locked up in that case, you can say, okay, I am an open book. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Show me what I'm doing wrong so that I can improve. Now, most writers and authors go through this period of time, this kind of honeymoon phase, where they have been told by either their readers or an editor that they are the next X, the next Stephen King, the next J.K. Rowling, the next Clive Barker, the next whoever is hot at the moment. And what happens is they get their ego swells and they think, well, I can do no wrong. And so when an editor comes back to them and says, okay, you got this going on and this is wrong and we need to improve this, they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I am paying you. I am above you. You are just an editor. And that, my friends, is a very big mistake. Because they are not just an editor. They are your best friend, your teacher, and your best chance at improving. I kind of liken it back to when I was a professional actor. or an actor, period. And there's a position in the theater called the stage manager. And the stage manager is the person that works tirelessly to make sure that the actors are cared for and the director's vision occurs and everything doesn't fall apart. They keep everything together. And the stage manager is not only the actor's best friend, but one of the single most important persons in the production. So in your process as a writer, one of the most important persons is your editor. And you must listen to them. And you must be open to constructive criticism. Because if you're not open to criticism, you're either going to get hurt, or you're going to fire a lot of editors because they don't tell you the things you want to be told. And you're going to lose, lose, lose. And I know this sounds kind of harsh, but it's the truth. You need your editor, and you need to be open-hearted, open mind, open arms. You need to respect the editor and their opinion and their suggestions. Now, that does not mean that you have to blanketly accept everything that editor says. In every book that I have worked on with every editor I have worked with, there have been suggestions that an editor has made that I have said no to. Because it was something important to me. And this doesn't go back to the whole kill your darlings thing. This goes back to something that I think that there are times when an editor is certainly going to do their best to make sure that every sentence you write is correct. But sometimes they might tweak it a little much, or they might want to get rid of something that, say, is important in the overall story arc in another book. So you have the last say a lot of time in certain situations. Now, you could have signed a contract with a big publisher, and the big publisher says, no, you don't have the last word. We do. But if it's a small press, or if you're publishing on your own, you have the last word. But always, always, always take the recommendations of your editor to heart. They just want to make you better. Okay? As far as story is concerned, though, it's all you. Well, it's all you and me, Muse. So, anyway, that's what I had to say. I had to say it. I'm sorry that you had to hear it, Muse, because you probably already knew it. Why? Because you are awesome. Yeah.